Beginning the Eastern Somaliland Incident of January 1966 of Magic Eyes Only, Earth's Encounters with Extraterrestrial Technology by Ryan S. Wood. A strange and disturbing incident occurred in Somaliland in January 1996. The facts, brief stated, can be found in a three-page document titled Somaliland. President Egal speaks on mysterious bomb blast that was declassified by the Central Intelligence Agency in 1999 and concerns a series of mysterious explosions that had occurred in the region. Note, Somaliland is the autonomous northwestern part of Somalia. The report, which was forwarded to the U.S. State Department, Defense Intelligence Agency at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Dayton, Ohio, among other agencies and departments, stated that some sources had attributed the explosions to unidentified flying objects. The available documentation also revealed that the physical and mental health of both animals and people in the region had been adversely affected by whatever it was that had exploded in Somaliland. Symptoms included dementia, skin rashes, boils on the skin, aching stomachs, and skin shedding. According to the CIA, the mysterious object that crashed or exploded in the area had been moving at supersonic speed, but due to the size and remoteness of the area, a search to locate and recover debris had proven unsuccessful. The reference to people having suffered adverse physical reactions to the presence of the unidentified flying object is not, or the unidentified object is not unlike the references contained within the Majic 12 First Annual Report that describes individuals having fatal reactions to what was reported as a particularly lethal form of alien virus present at a UFO crash site in New Mexico, 1947. The Isle of Lewis Incident, Scotland, October 1996. Starting at approximately 4 p.m. on 26 October 1996, the Isle of Lewis, Scotland, was plunged into the crashed UFO controversy. At first, I thought it was a firework, said Norman MacDonald, a joinery contractor at the port of Ness. He added, then I saw 3 flashes and heard 2 further bangs. I rushed into a local shop and took the staff and customers outside. They also saw the dense smoke spiral that was about 4:10 p.m. Over the following few hours, both Royal Air Force and the local police received numerous telephone calls from anxious Louis residents, all of whom had either witnessed an aerial explosion or had seen peculiar flashes of light followed by debris plunging into the sea. The response of officialdom was immediate. In a search that cost the equivalent of nearly $400,000 and the covered an area of 300 square miles, an armada of ships and numerous aircraft were hastily dispatched to the scene. A Royal Air Force Nimrod aircraft packed with sophisticated detection equipment scoured the vicinity for no less than 10 hours on 2 sororities. The Coast Guard helicopter from Stornoway flew 2 4.5-hour operators. A Royal Air Force helicopter from Lossiemouth conducted an intensive search, and a flotilla of ships and boats, including the Stornoway-based tug, the Porto Salvo, numerous lifeboats from Lochiniver, and a variety of fishing boats also lent assistance to the military. My God, I'm actually tired today. In addition, both the Coast Guard and the police mounted shore patrols in Ness On the butt of Luis, officially nothing was found. However, officialdom was not discounting the more exotic theories that had been postulated. "We have not ruled out space debris," said Simon Riley, District Staff Officer for Stornoway Coast Guard. Riley elaborated, "Part of the problem has been to get a fix on where this accident happened. All the people involved in the search have worked very hard, some around the clock, and extensive inquiries have been made, but nothing has been found to give a positive explanation. It was very puzzling." The Northern Police Constabulary was equally baffled. "Officers were busily involved in the investigation," a spokesperson commented, "but it's a real mystery. It's very, very odd." Matters took an even stranger turn only days later when the press revealed that inquiries concerning the nature of the craft had been made to British authorities by the Sandita National Laboratories, New Mexico, United States of America. Sandita's interest ran deep. Staff at the facility even contacted the Armagh Observatory in Northern Ireland for assistance, and chiefly centered upon ascertaining the time at which the incident had occurred. Nick Pope, who investigated UFO reports at an official level for the British Ministry of Defense between 1991 and 1994, stated, "The Sandita facility operated spy satellites, and their line of inquiry strongly suggested that they were trying to search back through spy satellite imagery to see whether the UFO had been captured on film." Sandita's alleged links to the crashed UFO controversy have surfaced on previous occasions, most noticeably in the so-called Majestic 12 Eisenhower briefing document, an extract from which states, "On 6th December 1950, a second object impacted the Earth at high speed in the El Indido Guerrero area of the Texas-Mexican border after following a long trajectory through the atmosphere. By the time a search team arrived, what remained of the object had been almost totally incinerated. Such material as could be recovered was transported to the AEC, Atomic Energy Commission facility at Sandita, New Mexico, for study." Commenting on the crash report and the subsequent military maneuvers, which involved no fewer than 32 warships, 7 submarines, and 80 aircraft, Nick Pope stated at the time rumors began to circulate that the whole incident might center on the crash and recovery of a top-secret prototype aircraft or unmanned aerial vehicle, such as the rumored Aurora or Halo. The event was never fully resolved. The final official word went to the Ministry of Defense, who informed journalist Jonathan Dillon, "As you are aware, following reports to the authorities of an alleged explosion in the air, an extensive search of the area was carried out by the Royal Air Force and the Coast Guard. This search was later called off after it became clear that no aircraft had been reported overdue. That is where the matter rests today." Search for extraterrestrial intelligence, UFOs, and national security. I believe we're done with the incidents. In September 1959, Nature magazine published a startling and now historic paper searching for interstellar communications, written by two physics professors from Cornell University, Philip Morrison and Giuseppe Cocconi. The paper explored the possibility of using microwaves to search the universe for evidence of extraterrestrial life. 8 months later, shortly after receiving his PhD from Harvard, Frank Drake ran an experiment to test the Morrison-Cocconi proposal at the Green Bank National Radio Astronomy Observatory, West Virginia, using an 85-foot diameter radio telescope. Dubbed Project Ozma, This was the first scientifically endorsed effort to scan the stars, specifically two stars, Tau Ceti and Epsilon Eridani, for signs of non-human intelligence. The experiment began at 4 a.m. on 8 April 1960 and lasted for 150 hours. Nothing that could be construed as a message from extraterrestrials was discovered. In October 1961, the first conference on the search for extraterrestrial intelligence, SETI, was held at the National Radio Astronomy Observatory in Green Bank. Here, Drake introduced his famous Drake equation, a still controversial method for attempting to calculate the number of intelligent civilizations that may exist in the Milky Way. It was said Drake, a simple equation that collects together all the relevant factors that govern how much intelligent companionship might be spread throughout the star fields of our galaxy. Drake would later become director of the famous Arecibo Radio Telescope in Puerto Rico, and later still president of the SETI Institute at Mountain View, California. In 1961, a number of SETI-based initiatives were launched to try and answer the enduring question of whether or not life existed elsewhere in the known universe. In 1971, for example, a NASA study group, Project Cyclops, was convened to discuss and design a complex array of 1,000 radio telescopes that would have had the capability to detect faint radio signals emanating from a distance of up to 1,000 light years. At the time, the project was deemed too costly. However, in 1972, NASA published a paper, Project Cyclops, a design study of a system for detecting extraterrestrial life, which was widely circulated in the scientific community 1 year later. Idaho State University initiated an ambitious SETI effort at the Big Ear Observatory in Delaware, Ohio, and not long after, the Arecibo Radio Telescope received a major upgrade. In August 1977, an unusual narrowband signal was detected at the Ohio State Big Ear Telescope that evidently originated from the region of the constellation Sagittarius. Dubbed the WOW signal, even today, a quarter-century later, it continues to provoke controversy. On the evening of 15th August, Franklin astronomy professor Jerry Eman was analyzing computer printouts received at the Ohio complex and was amazed to find a signal that seemed to indicate intelligence. It was operating on a frequency not used by terrestrial or satellite transmitters and was 30 times stronger than the background noise. But the initial excitement turned to frustration. Aerospace writer Bill Rose explains, "Unfortunately, the signal had been very brief when researchers tried to relocate it. There was nothing there. In 1991, fresh attempts were made to find this intriguing signal using the resources of Oak Ridge Radio Observatory in Massachusetts, but yet again, the endeavor proved fruitless. Several theories have been put forward to explain the WOW signal. Some scientists believe it originated from a secret military space platform placed in solar orbit, while others have suggested it was caused by a chance reflection off space debris. Rose does not rule out the possibility, however, that WOW just might have been a genuine article. The year 1979 saw the inception of the search for extraterrestrial radio from nearby developed populations at UC Berkeley's Hat Creek Observatory. But only 2 years later, disaster struck when the Proxmire Amendment officially ended congressional support for NASA's SETI-based work. In July 1981, the United States Senate's legislative clerk read a blistering report from Senator Proxmire that stated in part, "Mr. President, If we continue to allow NASA to pursue this effort to intercept signals from some hypothetical intelligent civilization, we are sending exactly the wrong message to the American taxpayer. We should worry more about improving our ability to communicate with our neighbors on planet Earth, and worry a little less about interstellar conversation. In this year of all years, we should not fritter away precious federal dollars on a project that is almost guaranteed to fail. I hope my colleagues will support my amendment to stop this ridiculous waste of taxpayers' dollars. In 1982, however, a lifeline was thrown to SETI when Congress approved a budget allocation for NASA's program after the late Dr. Carl Sagan succeeded in persuading Senator Proxmire to think again. The $100 million project began 12th of October 1992, Columbus Day. The holiday was picked because it celebrates the spirit of exploration, said Michael Kleen, manager of the Jet Propulsion Laboratory at Pasadena, California. We are trying to understand is, are we alone in the universe, and what is our part in this incredible universe, continued Kleen. Circumstantial evidence suggests countless Earth-like planets exist in our galaxy, and if intelligent signals from an alien civilization were detected, according to NASA, once a signal is confirmed as being of ETI origin, an announcement of the discovery would be made as quickly and as widely as possible. One way in which the announcement could be made is described in a Declaration of Principles concerning activities following the detection of extraterrestrial intelligence. The Declaration states, after concluding that the discovery appears to be credible evidence of extraterrestrial intelligence, and after informing other parties to this declaration, the discoverer should inform observers throughout the world through the Central Bureau of Astronomical Telegrams of the International Union, and should inform the Secretary General of the United Nations in accordance with Article 9 Article 11 of the Treaty on Principles Governing the Activity of States in the Exploration and Use of Outer Space. The Declaration also calls for a variety of other bodies to be informed, including the International Telecommunication Union, the Committee on Space Research of the International Council of Scientific Unions, and the International Academy of Astronauts. Got some long names here. However, on the matter of whether or not a reply to an ET base should be sent, the Declaration makes for intriguing reading. No response to a signal or other evidence of extraterrestrial intelligence should be sent until appropriate international consultations have taken place. The procedures of such consultations will be the subject of a separate agreement, declaration, or arrangement. In the mid-1980s, following the worldwide success of the film E.T., the extraterrestrial director Steven Spielberg provided a grant that sponsored the mega-channel extraterrestrial assay Project Meta at the Oak Ridge Observatory in Massachusetts. SETI continued into the 1990s. NASA launched the High Resolution Microwave Survey HRMS in 1993 at the Goldstone Observatory, California, and Arecibo, Puerto Rico. In 1993, however, disaster struck again when Congress finally pulled the plug on SETI after Democratic Senator Richard Bryan introduced an amendment to the NASA appropriations bill that terminated all support for the HRMS project. But the work was far from over. 2 years later, the SETI Institute launched Project Phoenix, a privately funded operation and a continuation of the NASA HRMS operation that would utilize the 64-meter, 200-foot Parkes radio telescope in New South Wales, Australia, the largest radio telescope in the Southern Hemisphere. Ironically, when Project Phoenix expanded in 1996, to include the northern stars. The search was undertaken from the National Radio Astronomy Observatory in Green Bank, West Virginia, only a short distance from where Frank Drake ran his Project Ozma experiment in 1960. Today, the project operates from the Arecibo Observatory. In the latter part of the 1990s, two new initiatives were launched. Southern Serendip at the Park's 64-meter radio telescope in New South Wales, and SETI at Home, a screensaver program that effectively allows anyone with access to a PC and an internet connection to download and process data that might lead to this discovery of the millennium. Signals from Another World. That is a concise history of SETI from its humble beginnings in 1959 to the present day. But there is much more, and some ways less, to the SETI program than initially meets the eye, as we shall now see. And I'm done for today. I'm very tired.